About 198 countries belong to the UN Climate Convention. We call it the Super Bowl of climate summits. It happens once a year, and every year they meet to discuss how to address emissions. This year, Saudi Arabia is slowing down these climate talks. There are always deep divisions between rich and poor nations when it comes to climate negotiations. But from the climate negotiators that I've spoken to inside the rooms, the opposition from the Saudi delegation this year is unlike anything they've seen before. Last year at the United Nations Climate Summit, nearly 200 countries, including Saudi Arabia, signed an agreement that calls for countries to transition away from fossil fuels.
We have confronted realities and we have set the world in the right direction.
The agreement was historic. In fact, it was the first time in a climate agreement that countries had explicitly linked the burning of fossil fuels to climate change. So this year, Saudi diplomats have put forward procedural objections that have blocked virtually every set of negotiations, offering objections to what others feel are minor points, inserting language that other countries consider poison pills. In one case, diplomats said that they would not be attending meetings at all, and have accused others of negotiating in bad faith. Saudi Arabia, whose economy is dependent upon oil exports, may also have been emboldened by the election of Donald Trump in the United States. Trump has promised to withdraw the United States from the global fight against climate change, and also to increase the production of fossil fuels, which already are at record levels. And the chairman of the board of Saudi Aramco sat next to Mr. Trump at a UFC fight the other night. The lobbying from Saudi Arabia is not new. It's part of a year-long effort to foil last year's agreement, which they signed. Just days after signing that agreement, Saudi Arabia appeared to be walking it back. Saudi Arabia's energy minister said that countries had agreed to what he called an a la carte menu, a series of options that countries could either choose or choose not to pursue.
What we have achieved is choices that people can pick.
And since then, representatives from Saudi Arabia have said,
we should abandon the fantasy of phasing out oil and gas,
which directly contradicts the resolution that Saudi Arabia agreed to last year. And it goes deeper than that. According to diplomats directly involved in UN talks, the Saudi delegation has tried to block or water down the fossil fuel transition language from at least 5 other UN resolutions this year. I asked the Saudi government for comment multiple times. There's been no formal response. These resolutions are not just words, they have real force behind them. Since climate agreements are not legally binding, their force comes from peer pressure. And the more times language is repeated, the stronger that becomes cemented in government plans and policies. The stakes are high. 2024 is going to be the hottest year on record. This is a really bad time to be walking back agreements.